Hi guys, welcome back to Detailing and the Beast. Today is our final video in this mammoth megathon of testing scratch out products. We've done 8 in total from all the main high street brands, plus some others that you may not have heard of, plus some funnies in there as well. Every single one of these has been tested on its own. Previous few days, go back and have a look at that. But today is about the Megatest. I've now used all of these, I've put them through their paces, and today we are going to score them from bottom to top. So we have a number of categories, and excuse me while I refer to my board. The first one is a little bit of a funnies category. It's the no BS. It's all about the instructions, and the creative marketing is going to detriment in this test. So the marks for this are as follows. It's out of 5. The Car Pride paint pen scores 1, only because it tells you some instructions and directions of use. If you go and look this thing up on the internet, it's some sort of magic miracle product that you swipe across a scratch and it just magically disappears. It's a load of crap. Don't believe it. The Car Pride pen is no good for instructions, and the creative marketing is up there. Let's be fair. So that scores 1 point. Next up, there's a big jump up to 4 points, and that goes to the Maguire's, the Autobright Direct, and the Autoglym scratch removal kit. Simply didn't score the 5 points because it doesn't really mention the fingernail test, which I think on these sorts of products is imperative. They have really good instructions on them, these 3, so they all scored 4 out of 5. The remaining 4 products, so we've got the G3, the T-Cut, the Turtle Wax, and the Mantis even, all go on about that finger test, that fingernail test, whether you can hear the scratch under your fingernail. And then they advise that you may need professional help if you have got that sound underneath your fingernail. So they all score the maximum of 5 points. Next up is value. So these things are obviously quite small in their nature, right? You don't need a lot of them. But price per milliliter is probably the best way I can do this. And in the Autoglym, because you can only buy that as a kit, I have only taken into account the scratch removal product in there. So the value aspect of this is just for that scratch removal product. This does offer good value in terms of getting an applicator pad, a nice microfiber cloth, and some super resin polish if you needed all of that, okay? So it does offer a little bit different in terms of value, but I'm just taking it on price per milliliter for the scratch removal product. So in terms of value of the product, this is how they line up. Last place is the Car Pride pen, 70 pence per milliliter. Crazily expensive really for what it is. Autoglym let down because we're only taking into account the actual scratch removal paste, 19 pence per milliliter there. Big jump down now, the Turtle Wax scratch remover comes down to 5.5 pence. The Megs not far behind, 5.2 pence. The G3 Pro, 5 pence per milliliter. Autobright Direct, 4.8 pence per milliliter. 3 pence per milliliter for the Mantis, and all the way down to 2.6 pence per milliliter for the T-Cut. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points respectively. Next up is ease of use. So a little bit of a funny one, this one, and we have to default and give the easiest product to use to the paint pen because you literally just wipe it on. Its performance is rubbish, and we'll come on to that later, but for ease of use, for actually using the product, it's by far the easiest one out of this little lot. So an anomaly, an outlier, but we have to score this properly as we see it. In terms of the actual pastes, the easiest one to use is the Maguire's. It's quite an oily one, this one. I really like using this. It lasts a long time when you're working it. It has a really long work time. Next up is the Autoglym. Now this, for a different reason, this does seem to have a really long working time, but it's more gritty than this one. And to be honest, it feels like it's doing a good job. It feels like it's doing work. So I really liked using that one. First time I've used that today. And yeah, I really like that one. An age-old favourite of mine is the AD Scratch Out. I've used this stuff for a number of years, on and off. It's got a longer work time, not as long as these two, but a longish work time, long enough for you to get away with only using it maybe once or twice per application. And yeah, I like that one. G3 Pro, now this is very similar to the Auto Bright one in terms of its working time. Again, oily, but does seem to dry out if you're working it hard. So when I use this on that panel, we used it for around about 10 minutes and I had to apply it 3 or 4 times. There's a big gap here then, because there is a gap, a drop off. The Mantis and the T-Cut are of the same ilk. They are very quick to dry out. They aren't as oily as these, let's put it that way, and they feel more like a paste, more like a dry paste. So they do take quite a lot of reapplication during your 10-minute spell. And again, another gap here. By far the worst in terms of ease of use is that Turtle Wax Scratch Remover. It's so thick. It clogs up your microfiber towel when you're using it. You feel that your microfiber is no longer able to give you any cut because it's just matted down, completely solid, sort of plasticky. It's just not a nice product to use at all. We'll come on to the performance in a minute of all of these things, but I do not like that for ease of use at all. And again, these are scored with the points, so 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 point for the Turtle Wax. Next, we will come on to the ability to remove the swirls out of these control areas. So before we start the next 2 tests, which are going to be the ability to remove the swirls and the scratches, we're going to give this a very quick IPA or panel white mix, which contains IPA, a little bit of citrus and water. Going to give this a little bit of a soaking, clearing it down and hoping that this then gives us a more true, accurate result in terms of the actual removal ability rather than filling ability. So I'm just going to give this a quick wipe over, but rest assured for all you comment snipers out there that this is a real test of removal ability. Okay, next category is the ability to remove swirls. If I could put this pen any further that way, I would. No swirl removing ability whatsoever. It didn't claim to have, so had to score 0 points. It didn't even get a 1. Next up is the Mantis Scratch Remover, closely followed by the Turtle Wax Scratch Remover. Both of these pretty much failed to remove any swirling. Had a good go, but didn't actually remove that much. Next up is the Maguire Scratch X 2.0, and closely followed by the T-Cut. Both of these did pretty much the same sort of job. Moving on to the top 3. In third place with 6 points is the Autoglym Scratch Removal Complete Kit. In second place with 7 points is the AD Scratch Out. And the winner of the swirl removal test is the G3 Pro Scratch Remover Paste, scoring 8 points. And finally, our final scoring category, which was the removal, the most important scoring category, which is the removal of the scratch. Scoring, again, 0 points. I didn't even give it a 1. Is that Car Pride Paint Scratch Remover. Absolute garbage. We'll come more onto that in a minute, but it's time that had a roasting. Next up, a really poor outing. Turtle Wax Scratch Remover scores 2 points. T-Cut didn't really do a great job on the actual deep scratch, scoring 3 points. Mantis Scratch Remover, again, pretty similar to the T-Cut, but with a little improvement. That scores 4 points. Next, there is a big jump up, and this is where it gets interesting. So, the Autoglym Scratch Removal Kit, that comes in with 5 points, but make no mistake about it, there was a big jump up over the Mantis. Next up, a little step up, is the AD Scratch Out. That gets 6 points. The Maguire Scratch X 2.0 did a really nice job on that scratch and scores 7 points. But there was a clear winner. G3 Pro Scratch Remover Paste by Ferekla. This stuff did a really nice job and goes on to score 8 points in the scratch removal test. So here we go then. A week's worth of testing has all come down to this. The final scoring. Starting in last place, the Car Pride pen scores an absolutely dismal 10 points. It only really picked up points for its ease of use, but ultimately it did absolutely jack all. If it didn't have the ease of use points, it would have scored 2 points. Really poor. Next up is the Turtle Wax product. A really poor outing here, scoring 14 points. I am utterly disappointed with this, to be honest, from a brand such as Turtle Wax. It only really gained points for its packaging, its description, and its price. Other than that, a really poor show and not a great scratch remover. Next up, in 6th place, is the Mantis product from JML. This scored 21 points. It picked up points for its packaging and also its value, but ultimately not a very good swirl or scratch remover. Next up, we have 2 products in joint 4th place. That's the T-Cut with 23 points. Ultimately turned out to be great value, but not that good at actually being a scratch remover. And the Autoglym, also on 23 points, turned out to be the most expensive of the paste products, and ultimately that let it down. But it did turn out to be a really good scratch remover. So, you know, between them two, the old adage does ring true of you get what you pay for. Now on to the top 3. In 3rd place, the product that we've reviewed before, the Maguire Scratch X 2.0, scored a very respectable 26 points. A really solid product and did a really good job of removing the scratch at the end. Ultimately let down slightly on its swirl removing ability compared to the rest and on its value. In 2nd place is the Autobright Direct Scratch Out with a very solid 28 points. Nothing really let it down. It's a very strong all-rounder, scored well in all categories, but was ultimately pipped to the post by today's winner, which is the G3 Pro Scratch Remover by Ferekla. It scored 30 points, and that was helped along the way by good value for money, and ultimately it scored top marks in both the swirl removing and scratch removing abilities. And guess what? That's what this test was all about. So G3, a worthy winner. Now back for some final thoughts. So there we go. It's been a big week in terms of videos. A lot of videos shot for me personally in this very long day. I'm not going to talk about each and every one of these. I think the videos have done that for me and the scoring has obviously done that, but we'll go through a couple of things. So first off, which one shouldn't I buy? Well, for me, obviously the Car Pride pen. These things are just garbage, right? That can go in the bin. Absolutely pointless, waste of money. Don't believe the hype. Just don't buy them. In terms of what we're left with, okay, there is a big difference, and the most disappointing product for me here has to be this Turtle Wax Scratch Remover. Difficult to use in terms of ease of use, and it didn't actually do a very good job, so I am very disappointed with that, given the brand name and the prestige around that brand name. Very poor. After that, you know, it's pretty much as I expected. The Mantis, the JML product, didn't really do itself much favours, and neither should it. It's, you know, it's one of them generic products that they try and sell you in Asda. T-Cut, it's old now and it shows, to be honest. Autoglym. Now this one I feel deserves a little bit of a mention. Now this was a really good product, but for me the price on that is phenomenal when you don't need the super resin polish, you don't need the applicator, and you don't need the towel. If you do, then it's a good value kit. But like me, you don't. You just want this sachet, this bottle. It's really, really poor value, and it doesn't come close in terms of some of these others. But which one should you buy? Now, if you'd asked me before I did this video, I would have either pointed you toward the Maguires or more likely the AD Scratch Out. After doing this, for me, it's got to be the G3 by Ferrecli. That stuff is phenomenal. It's good value. It scored the highest number of marks in the swirl removal test. It scored the highest number of marks in the actual scratch removal test, and that's why we're here. So for me now, if you want to remove a scratch that is removable, that is important, get some of the G3 Pro. I do think you'll really be pleased with it over and above some of the others. And that really is it. It really does sum it up. So thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, if you've watched all the videos through the week and you've now watched the Megatest, thank you very much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. It'll help the channel to grow, and then I might be able to afford to do some more of these Megatests. All of these products were paid for out of my own money. They were not sent in by anybody. This video is not sponsored. It's not controlled in any way, shape or form. You get honest, unbiased opinions here. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.